Boom. There we go. All right. So I'll leave that up there for a little bit longer. It looks like we've got about 65% of you that have participated in the poll. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get that as high as we possibly can. That information is vital for us to be able to shape these webinars to make sure they work for you. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Ashley Bowser, and I am the VP of Certified Lights. Thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it. We have had these webinars all year long, even though I can't believe it's already June. So we're excited to have this webinar, and we will have some information for you later about the next webinar. So we hope to see you then as well. Okay. Poll-wise, we're at 72%. Scott, I will let you know that out of the 73, now obviously as we add more, it changes, but 83% of them did not attend May's webinar. So that's great information. About 17% joined us last month. We hope that everybody will join us next month as we give you this information. That way you'll have it in advance. Okay. So I'll go ahead and keep that up for those who haven't answered. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and introduce the man of the hour to hour and a half, right? We've got Scott Young here, owner and president of Certified Lights. The plan is he's going to go over some goals that you can set in place to put your Christmas light business in the best position it could possibly be in before it's here. It's going to be here within just a few short months. So let's make sure you're getting to everything before it's here, because by then it might be a little too late. Okay. So Scott, it is all you. Go ahead and take over. If you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. We've got Andrew here. He's going to help field some of the questions, as will I. And if you have any specific questions, you can always, shoot either one of us a message if you want it to be a little bit more private. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
So welcome, everybody. Excited that y'all are here today with us. Ashley, I've asked that. I think one of the questions on the survey was also if they're currently doing Christmas lights. If there's some information from that, I forget what all the questions are, to let me know how many are brand new and haven't done lights in the past. As Ashley said, these surveys in the beginning help me direct how the conversation is going to go, because obviously if you have multiple years of experience, the conversation will be different than I'm speaking to a majority of folks who've never done Christmas lights. So I'll tailor it in between that, just how much I lean one to the other and how much detail I go into. I would also like to introduce.
I'll jump in. We've got 38% newbies here, 0 years. And then it just kind of scatters from 33% from 1 to 4 years, 13 for 5 to 10. And we've got some vets in here, 16% with over 10 years of experience.
That's awesome. Whoever that is falls in that category. It says a lot about you and your business. I'd also like to introduce Andrew Norris. He's our director of marketing. He'll jump in some parts where we're focused more on the marketing piece. We are going to try to put some more focus on that. But to let you know, we're going to have a full webinar on marketing in July and a full webinar on sales in August, leading up to the season, so that when September, October hits, you've got those pointers and information to get started, especially for you newbie guys. It's going to be a broad-based webinar. What I'm going to do is put up a list of tasks that we have specifically. You can expand, you can use what you want off of this. Everything we give you is the opportunity for you to take it and do what you want with it. Update it, change it, use exactly how it is, to help folks that are either in Christmas lights or getting into Christmas lights get off on the right foot, because I think it's 62% or whatever it is here that have been doing Christmas lights. As you know, if you look back even a year, but certainly some of you folks that are out there for 3, 5, 8 years, if you could have had some more information on the front end, how much further would your business be and how much more profitable would it be, and how much less stress would it have been when you started out. So we've been doing this for 17 years now. And I know we took a 1-week training course. It was $5,000. Had we not taken that, we wouldn't be anywhere where we are today. It's just that, like, that time value of money as a business, as you know, as you start up or trying to grow it, the more information up front you have, the faster you get to that point in your goals that you're trying to do. So let me share my screen here. Again, this is a checklist, and I'll go over it, some in detail. Some of it I'll go over fairly quickly, because one of the things that we always like to do in our webinar is have an extended Q&A session. I always try to leave at least 20 or 30 minutes, and inevitably it goes over. Our May webinar, we had almost an hour of Q&A. I don't know that we can go that long today, but we also want to try to answer any questions you have, because that's the point of the whole thing, right? So we have tons of information. We have, let me back up and say, for those who don't know what Certified Lights is, we are a distribution and training company. So we train companies on how to either get in to the Christmas light business or improve their installation business of what they're doing. We have, I think, 3 or 4 partners on the list so far today that are joining us. And we have a partner program that gives you all these benefits, kind of a franchise level benefits without all the costs. So these type of forms, procedures, pricing, marketing, sales, anything you're going to need to run your business, we have a ton of that for you to use as resources. So this is just one example that we use to make sure that we're getting stuff done during the slow season, because it's so easy. We call it the slow season. I know y'all, a lot of y'all have other services businesses and are still going full force right now, but these help you keep on track and not have to try to get it all done in September, October, either when the season's just starting or when when you're already knee deep into it. Because those who have been doing Christmas lights, especially for you newbies, once the Christmas light season starts, there's no time for planning. It's all hands on deck. It is full force. I ran a pest control business for 25 years, and then I added Christmas lights, and the summer was our peak season. And it only takes a step up in Christmas lights. It's full force if you're really trying to grow that business. So Ashley added this one for us today. Office goals, a 10 webinar to help you plan for the season, which everyone here is doing awesome. You're off to a great start. Anytime you can get information out there, not just from us, but there's a lot of the companies that training and put on free webinars or even some small paid ones. That information for you newbies is invaluable. If you don't go through training for us, for you new folks that are thinking about getting into Christmas lights, it's worth its weight in gold. I mean, again, that $5,000 I spent 17 years ago was maybe one of the best investments I ever made. So get training. People will tell you, well, it's just Christmas lights. It's easy. That's like saying if you're a landscaper or a pest control guy or a window cleaner, it's just pest control, window cleaning, and landscaping. We all know that's not true. It's not rocket science, but there's a lot of little tricks of the trade. They'll save you a lot of headaches and improve your revenue and your margin way quicker if you'll take those classes. So find somebody to take those would be my first advice to the brand new folks. The second bullet point there is review your processes to ensure they're up to date. Installation processes, quality assurance processes, paperwork flow processes. This is really true, and most of what we'll talk about is true for any business, but we have a slant towards Christmas lights. So if you're just starting out, you're not going to have a lot of that. If you end up applying for a partnership with us, we'll give you all that. It'll get you way down the road. You may have it in your other businesses, so just kind of utilize those processes in your new business, the new Christmas light division that you add. It'll really help streamline the stuff. Doesn't mean you still won't have mistakes, but we all know those processes help. Adjust, improve your sales bid process, and set a plan to track your resources and closing rate. Super important. This is the part that everybody's always most interested in, is marketing and sales. Obviously, it's the lifeblood of a company, but further down in this webinar, I'm going to talk a lot about the operational side and the expense side of the business, because you can gain $1 in revenue, but it's only putting 30 cents if you're a 30% net margin business, or 20% if you're a 20% net margin business, to your bottom line. If you save $1 in expenses, you just added $1 to your bottom line. It's not the sexy part of the business, but your operational cost is where you really get that net margin out of focusing on those. So we'll talk some about that. Review marketing avenues taken last year to see if they were successful, if you want to continue that route. It's probably one of the hardest things for me in 30 years or 28 years of being in the service business, is being able to calculate your true return on investment for marketing. There's just so many variables, and you can ask a customer where they found you. I used to have back in the day, customers tell me they found me in the Yellow Pages, and I'd never put a Yellow Page ad out. It's that kind of stuff that just makes it very difficult to actually track that. So, but you can also see kind of where you're, if you are tracking your main sources of leads, and you can see where the bulk are coming from, and then decide how much revenue did I get off of that versus how much I spent, and do a quick back of the envelope calculation just to make sure that, you know, you're putting more money towards the ones that are successful and peeling back the ones that aren't. Andrew, do you want to talk about just quickly some of, especially for the new folks, but also for the experienced, and they may type in if they've got some avenues they've got that have been very successful in the Christmas light the Christmas light industry on sales and marketing. Some of the bigger ones that we've used and that that are used out in the industry.
So one of the things we'll do is we'll definitely cover a lot of that on next month's webinar, but some of the things that we have, as Scott mentioned, we have a lot of processes for our partners. So we tend to focus on what are the main things that are working. We update those each year from talking to our partners, from talking to the people that we having go through our trainings, all of that. So we're really kind of have our fingers on the pulse of this industry to figure out what's working. But we put together things like from either templates from yard signs to brochures to mail outs. If you're more of like an established company and you have the budget, then those are going to be things more of like higher budget advertising, every door direct mail. We show you how to set those things up. We can help you with those if we need to. We also have templates for those types of postcards. And then on the smaller side of things, we can help you come up with strategies where it's more, maybe you're just starting out, you don't have the budget, so it's boots on the ground, passing out door hangers, things like that, as well as generating leads online through Google, social media, Facebook, things like that. So we cover the whole, both sides, digital and physical mail, and what's working as we see things change.
Great, thank you, Andrew. Calculate your revenue per hour. We do this every year, so we have a process to show you how you can determine what your revenue per hour is per man for your profitability. This was huge 5 or 6 years ago when we figured out how to do this. And the hardest part about this, and it is very hard, and the only thing I can tell you is it's never going to be 100% accurate, but we've got it down pretty fine-tuned now. We feel pretty confident about those numbers, is calculating those man hours. So you have to have that process on how to figure out how many hours are spent on each job. And if you can get that piece down, which again, we can show you how to do that in our process, and you may have your own. Again, nothing we give you is you have to do it that way. It's just us sharing our 17 years of experience and knowledge with you. But if you can figure out how much revenue you have per hour, really helps you figure out what your most profitable customers are, which customers you need to increase your pricing on, which customers should be your VIP. So for us, we do $200 per man hour. That's our expectation. It's not to say we don't have some at 168 or 175 or even 150. We also have some at $300 or $400 per hour. Those customers we're going to make sure are taken care of. But it allows you, especially for us on what are the lower end ones that we need to start increasing the prices on. So we have 2-man teams so a 2-man team that works 10 hours a day. That's kind of our expectation for our teams during the season, is they work 10 hours in the field on the jobs, not back and forth to the office. If you have 2 people making $200 an hour, that's $400 an hour, $4,000 a day. So a 2-person team should make $4,000 a day. If you extrapolate that out and you're a full service company and you've been in this few years and you've got full routes of the 50 days, a 2-person team can make $200,000 a season. That should get you easily a 30% net margin. That's our goal. We tell folks, if you're not doing 30% net margin in this Christmas light installation business, something's not going right. You're not charging enough. You're not efficient enough. Maybe you need to be on a production pay, which we train folks on how to do. There's something for me, if I'm only doing a 15% net margin business, I'm not in the Christmas light business. It's too much time in this off season, in the holiday season. We give up some time with our family and friends. It's very stressful, but it can be rewarding and your satisfaction of a job well done and happy customers. But most importantly for me is I'm making a lot of money in this time of year. So we go over all that and help you. But if you can, in this off season, think about and calculate what your revenue per man hour is, really helps you focus in. And yours may be $100 per hour. You may be $500 per hour. You can pick your own revenue per hour of your goal, but you have to know what it is and track it to be able to meet that goal, right? So very important. One of the big office goals every season is communication with the customers. So we start even after the end of the season, we send, thank you for being a customer. We value you, your business, and hope you had a great season. We enjoyed doing your holiday lights for you, and we'll follow up every couple months with some type of email. Just let them know if it's a holiday. Keeping our name in front of them. And as the season goes on, as it gets to June, July, August, we're doing it monthly, and then we'll send out. And this is the last part of that is sending out your renewal letters. So communicating with the customers to stay top of mind, and then getting to the point of, so some of ours in June and July will be, hey, I know it's crazy, but it's already summer. Christmas light season will be around the corner. Just wanted to let you know we're going to be sending out your renewal letter with your invoice in August. And so that we prep them a couple months that it's coming. And as we get closer to that we have a whole list of different emails, so they're not exactly the same. And they start talking about the reality of the service market, that it's super hard to find employees, so we can only take so many customers. So it's a first come, first serve when you renew. So we're kind of getting them geared up. So when we send the renewal letters, I think it's mid-August. Ashley can speak to that in a minute, but they're kind of prepped that it's coming, and they're not going, why am I getting this renewal letter in August? We've already told them why it's coming then through our emails. And then when they get it, they've already expected it. And we get a good amount. I don't know the exact percentage, but I think it may be upward of 50% of our renewals get paid in August. Certainly by the end of September, we're higher than that. So you can get, for those folks that have been doing this a while, you probably already know this, but if you haven't been doing this, you can collect a lot of money up front so that you're not out cash. That's a hard part of the business, is you're going into a season and you're growing, especially if you're growing like 50%, you're having to invest in new product and all that. Well, you're getting the money up front to put that investment in, to hire people, to train, to buy new equipment. Don't go buy a boat with it. Don't go on vacation. It's not your money. It's to pay for your business. Not to say that any of you have done that, but I think we all know people that have done that in the past. So it's a great way to get that cash flow up front and start collecting and getting your customers on the schedule. We do 50% down. That seems to be the industry standard. It may be different in your particular market, but for the new folks, don't be scared to ask for 50% down. And then we ask for 50% upon completion. Commercial's a little different. This is mainly residential. Commercial, they often dictate the terms. We still try to do the same deal with them. And some companies will abide by that. Others like, no, we don't pay until half at installation, half at takedown, or whatever it may be. And so you got to work around that a little bit. Field goals. Again, this is not all encompassing, but some of the high points that we have that we need to get taken care of. And probably the biggest every season for the last 6 or 7 seasons for us, and it seems to only get worse every year, is the hiring. The folks that are brand new, you don't have that problem, obviously. The folks that have been doing it are only having themselves and a team member. You can manage that. It's not very hard. But as you start growing this business, and I think we hire around 25 folks for the season, it gets more and more difficult as you grow more and more. That goes back to having those 2-person teams being efficient. The fewer people you have to have, the better it is. We're actually we've never done this before, but we've got a plan this year to overhire. It would be directly in contradiction to my business DNA to spend more than you need to on labor or anything else. But because it's so stressful and we know we're going to have people leave either through the job's not right for them or they're not right for us, people leaving pretty quick at the beginning of the season. So we haven't decided what percentage we're going to overhire, but we're going to definitely hire a pretty good percentage overhire in the beginning, just to make sure that, you know, when we hit late October and the beginning of November, we still have enough employees and we're not trying to hire on the fly, which is, again, super difficult in the Christmas light business while you're doing that. So it's going to eat into my bottom line, but you know, we did, I think, $1.4 million in revenue last year at a 30% net margin. We can afford to drop it to 28 or 27%, just to keep me and my staff from overstressing. And it's just part of what we have to do to figure out ways to have the employees and to grow and to meet the customer needs, because the worst thing you can do is not get to a customer or do a bad job. This business, like most service businesses, is built off of repetitive customers. We have about an 80% renewal rate. So it makes it super easy to grow when you get those return customers, but you got to treat them right. You got to take care of them. Don't overextend yourself. If you're in the right market, this business is easy. You'll get so many leads, you don't know what to do with them. For the newbies, don't go out there and price low. Find out what the pricing is in your market. Be just below the average. There's no reason to go to the bottom and fight your way to the bottom in this business. If someone doesn't buy your service, there'll be another lead coming shortly. And each year you can build up that base to where, for us, I think we have around 400 customers. We already have them all scheduled out for the season. And when you get to that point of where you've been doing this for 3, 4, 5 years, you'll be able to do that too. And then the ones that don't renew, you just fill their spots. And you know, if you need to hire more people, depending on how many people renew before the season even starts. So some of the things you can do: improve job postings, pay restructuring, budgeting. You know, it's just a tough, there's not an easy answer, silver bullet out there. The pay is big, as we all know, but it doesn't solve everything. We pay, just for general knowledge out there, around $25 per hour in our production pay structure. With our production pay, they can make anywhere from, on average, $20 to $30. So that's why I say $25. Some of our guys make, I say employees, because we have quite a few females also, but some of them make $30, $33, $35, the ones that are really efficient. And that's what's beautiful about the production pay, is they can get to that point where they're basically deciding how much they make an hour. Organization's huge. This is what I'm talking about, where if you save $1, it goes straight to the bottom line. If your organized, warehouse is organized, your offices are organized, wherever you're storing your stuff, your general working areas are organized, you're not spending that time in the morning trying to find it. You're not spending that time in the evening trying to put stuff away. Everything's labeled. Everybody knows where it goes. It just really will help your bottom line. Same for your operational truck, trailer, van. We have schematics of whether it's a box truck for us or a trailer or whatever it is, where everything goes, how to stock it, how to pull it out, how to restock it. It just makes it very efficient. Every hour you save is money to your bottom line. So, you know, each year you can continuously improve that. Don't just rest on your laurels and go, oh, I think that they're good. There's always ways to improve it. Ask your employees, like, you know, what could we do to make this easier and faster for you? What products don't you have that would be helpful to have on the truck or trailer? How would you organize this where you can get to stuff more easily? Brainstorm with your employees, your office, all that, and reorganize and try to optimize everything. Perform an inventory count of your current products. This will help you with the next year's season order on what's being used during the season. So often it's, you know, this is kind of a higher level for folks who've been doing it a while, but even as you're just getting started, we help folks that just get into the industry. If you come through our partnership program, we'll set revenue goals for you and tell you how much inventory and product you need of each different type of product for your average installs. It'll never be exact, but 17 years of experience, we have a pretty good idea of, how many C9s you need for roofs, how many wreaths and garland average on your homes if you're selling those, how many stake lights, all that kind of stuff, how many mini lights. And then estimate product needs for the season, place your orders as early as possible to ensure availability. Kind of ties into that prior one, knowing what you need, or at least some kind of expectation of what to order for that season. And then this is a hard one for us because we have, I think, 45 partners, and we don't get many of them doing pre-orders in the beginning of the season, which we do in February and March, but we give a big discount. And the key is you're going to need those products. Back to that efficiency, you don't want to be operating where you're selling one day and going out that afternoon to get the products to install the next day. That's just time consumption of going back and forth to wherever you're buying your product daily to get it. It doesn't mean order, if you're going to do $100,000 and you need $30,000 of product, doesn't mean you have to order all $30,000, but order 5,000 so that you have a week's worth or 2 weeks worth of product in your warehouse, and you're reordering weekly or bi-weekly. If you have those inventory counts and know what they are, when you get down to, you have 10% set aside, when you get down at 10%, you reorder, and you'll still have that 10% until the order comes in, and you're not chasing your tail daily trying to go get product for each job. Now, I understand everybody has different situations, and if you don't have a lot of cash, that may be necessary. My point is, don't make that a very long process. This is a business you can make money in, and if you manage that money right, you don't have to do that for very long, and you can start placing weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or close to full season orders as you get bigger. And lastly on this list is prep your products. I see a lot of companies, even bigger ones, that their guys are out in the field putting in light bulbs into sockets and putting different tabs or different connectors on in the field. We do all that in our warehouse. If you're a one-man show, you don't have to have a warehouse employees to do that. You can sit while you're watching reruns of Friends for the 100th time, sit there and do light bulbs in your den while you're watching TV or whatever it may be. The last thing you want to do is have your most skilled people in the field that install and make money for you doing a job that could be done beforehand. So when they go out in the field, that's already done. All they got to do is install. For us, when we got to that point of doing that, it really picked up the revenue per hour for our guys. And ultimately that means the production pay, the amount of revenue they make per hour. And we pay people a lot less to sit in a warehouse and do that than the guys we pay out in the field with the higher skills. So that's a kind of a short list. There's so much more that goes into it, but I pulled out the ones that I thought would be most relevant for this discussion. We find that the Q&A session is one of the better parts and gets a lot of the questions that y'all have been thinking about or maybe got from this list. So we're gonna roll over to the Q&A. Again, if you have questions, I see that there's, I think, 10 or 12 or 13 in there already. Just type them in, and Andrew's going to read them, and then myself or Andrew or Ashley will address them depending on the topic, and give you what feedback we have from that, from our knowledge and experience. So with that, Andrew, do you want to start reading the lists?
Yeah, so if you don't know what he's talking about, there's a chat function here. So if you click the chat, should open up the chat box there, and you can just type in any questions that you have, and we'll go through this. So some of them we did fill and answer while Scott was talking, some of the simpler questions, but pretty much you guys can ask anything you want. So we're open. We give very freely in this section, and unless something's just requires such a big explanation, but pretty much we're open to anything. So whatever you want to ask, go ahead and put it in there, and I'll start going through. So Jacob asked that we sent out something about advertising. Can we go into more detail about advertising and helping partners with that? So one of the things that we will do, and this we're going to cover a lot of that on next month's webinar when we talk about marketing, is we have different plans and strategies and templates for you guys to use through our partners program. You also get access to that if you go to any of our formal trainings as well, for all kinds of advertising. So just to kind of break it down, if you're new to the industry, you're just starting out, you don't have a big budget, then we have strategies and templates for you to use, where it's going to require more of you getting out in the field, maybe putting templates for door hangers, flyers, things like that. We have Facebook advertising templates that you can also use to generate leads through Facebook. That can scale really well, whether you're just starting out and you're only spending a few dollars a day to get those first few clients coming in. It also can scale if you've been in the industry for a long time and you have a much bigger budget. That works as well. If you've been in the industry for a while, then most of you guys have a lot of repeat customers. So you really kind of want your advertising, your marketing to be as hands-off as possible. So we have templates and strategies for that as well. Things like Every Door Direct, scaling, Google, Facebook ads, things like that, where you can be in the field, you're operating the business, and maybe you have a little bit of extra space at the end of the season to put in new customers. And that's where you'll get a lot out of Ashley's webinar on the sales process there, because that's when that's going to come into having a very efficient sales system to follow up with those leads. So that's kind of what we help you guys with. Hopefully that answers your question. And again, we'll cover more of that next month, as well as you get that in the partners program. We have tons of trainings in there on that, templates, everything you need to kind of get up and going. Jason asked, will this be recorded? Yes, we will record this. It typically takes a couple of days for us to get this turned out. But we always try to, you should definitely have it by Friday, but we'll get this posted. We'll send out an email letting you guys know where the recording's posted at. Let's see what else. Where do we find employees?
So Ashley, do you want to tee that up?
Yeah, I'll take
Okay.
care. I raised my hand. I don't know if you saw me, but yes, I can definitely
did.
answer that. So there's 1,000 different approaches to this. And the thing is, when you're hiring, you got to try all of them. You got to throw as much mud on the wall as you possibly can, bring in as many people as you possibly can. So we've used Facebook. Unfortunately, Facebook is no longer doing Facebook jobs anymore. So I'm sure another thing will pop up. We've put Indeed ads out. We've gone to local day labor sites. Make sure you have those in your cities. We worked with since we're in the state of Texas, we worked with Texas Workforce Commission last year, and they posted job ads for us for free. So that was really nice. Our biggest one is referrals, right? So we talk to our employees, our current installers, and we say, hey, do you know anybody? More times than not, they know a cousin, an uncle, a brother-in-law, a sister. They know somebody that's looking for work, so we can bring them in. We do offer hiring bonuses as well as sign-on bonuses. If you do something like that, just make sure that you have it in writing, make sure they sign it, and then don't pay everything out at once, right? If you're offering a $500 sign-on bonus, don't pay out $500 to both employees, because now they're probably going to walk and you're going to be out $1,000. Push it out till the month of November or something along those lines. But referral is number one. Post signs, people where people tend to gather, right? Reach out to your friends and family. Really try anything and everything that you possibly can. Referrals has been the best one for us.
Great.
I'll tag on to that. Everybody's market's probably different. I think we probably have people from all across the country, but Dallas has been in a 3%, sub 3% unemployment rate, seems like, for 10 years. We're like probably 2% now. It's insane. Like literally there's the bottom of the barrel and then we're scraping it, especially when you talk about hiring specifically for seasonal. I had a pest control company with 40 or 50 employees. And that's when I started Christmas Lights 17 years ago. So it was very easy for me to fill my jobs. It was awesome. It was the perfect fit. And that's what I think a lot of people add on Christmas Lights, is to not just help their winter revenue, but also help keep their employees so you don't have to rehire. I'm in the opposite problem now. I've got this huge revenue in Christmas lights, and we do some landscape lighting, wedding lighting, other event lighting, but it's just a small amount. So we have about 5 employees during the season, and we hire additional 25 at the end of the season. So you've got to figure out ways that are unique, and sometimes you got to be bold. If you're in some place and you see a guy working or a lady working at McDonald's and they're doing awesome service and they're hustling, hand them your card. Try to get them and let them know, instead of making $15 an hour, you can make 20, or instead of 12 in your market, you can make 20, whatever it is. In addition to those unique ways of just thinking out of the box to try to squeeze every employee you need and to get every employee you can get. The biggest thing, just like with your revenue and your customers, it's, the old saying, it's 10 times harder to get a new customer than to keep an old one. It's the same for employees. So even though it's seasonal and we have people that go do all kind of different jobs, we've probably got at least 50% of our workforce every season that come back to us. And the reason that is because we put pay bonuses. We thank them every day for the work they're doing. We give them a lot of safety in their job, so they appreciate that we care about them. We do spin the wheels every Saturday. We buy random breakfast. I go out in the field during the season, and if I see a crew working hard, I'll go buy them lunch or give them $20 cash, just bonuses right there. So all those little things matter a lot. There's no one thing. And even with all that, we sometimes feel like, God, how can our employees be this unappreciative when we do all that? But ultimately, when they come back, that's all that needs to be said, is that's working. So, treat your employees right. That'll give you that base. And then from there, ask them for friends and family, like Ashley said. Find ones and twos here and there. If you can find other people that have a job, those are the best employees to get, are people that have a job, right? The ones that don't have a job in this economy, probably not going to be great. And be ready to turn those folks. This is a big one for us. With production, now our guys will come to us. Our folks will say, hey, this new guy that's on my team is just can't keep up. He's slowing me down. He's costing me money. And we'll put him with another team just to make sure. And if he's bad with them, then we let him go. Everybody we hire, we say, this is a short season. It's super packed. If this isn't right for you, let us know. And we totally understand, no hard feelings. And if it's not right for us, you're not working out, we're going to let you know. And the first part's said to make them feel good about when we tell them you're done after one day. And we literally, one day, if they're not going to make it, there's time when we just send them off, especially if it's any kind of safety or non-work issue. So.
Very good. Melissa asked, how do you reach out to commercial companies before the season to get jobs?
I don't know if that person is a new company, but I would advise, if you're a new company coming into this, that you don't try to get into commercial. It's a whole different animal. If you stub your toe on one residential commercial customer, it's not a big deal. You can add more. But if you stub your toe on a commercial, it can be big and you can get a bad reputation. You really want to make sure that is the correct one. If you're currently doing it and you feel comfortable getting into the commercial, and there's different degrees of commercial, from the hardest is the municipalities, super long process, got to put money up, have to have certain levels of insurance. And then there's the strip malls and HOAs and some of that kind of stuff. Each one's a little different on how you get them. For us, because of my pest control, I was in a lot of associations. So I was in BOMA, which is Building Office Management Association. It's the management companies that run all the office buildings. So you go there and you go to the trade shows and you go to the events and you really put time in and get relationships built up and start getting bid opportunities and finding what that pricing is. Again, it's a long process to start really getting the returns. But as you grow in your business and you've got a really good residential base, it's a great piece of business to have. Same with the homeowners associations. There's an association for them. The strip malls, they have management companies in those. And some of them will, if you cold call them and you're in, I remember I was in early days in Dallas in a part, we got a couple of individual businesses side by side that wanted to do Christmas lights on the building. And I literally just went to each one and said, hey, your neighbors are doing the building. I'd love to do all your offices, and gave them a pretty aggressive rate. And got the 15 or 20 stores along this long strip center and then eventually raised the prices and was a really good piece of business. So I think to Andrew's point, if you're just starting out, there's a lot of ways to do it on the inexpensive side. The more expensive side and time expensive is to get into those organizations and build it from there.
Next question, Jason asked, how are you doing measurements for each job for materials?
Ashley, I'll let you answer that one.
Perfect. Yes, so you can actually measure most things from Google Maps. Now, obviously, this really depends on your area. If you live in a more rural area where maybe the Google car hasn't been by, it could be a little bit more difficult. So you're gonna have to do it the old school way with a measuring wheel. But most areas are built up enough now where you can go to Google Maps. It's very, very simple. Pull up the map feature, do the aerial view, right-click measure, and then you can get all your measurements that way. It's usually pretty close. I tend to add maybe about 5% just to be on the safe side, because I'd rather them have a couple bulbs more than a couple bulbs under. And that way they don't have to, come back or dig into their back stock. They can if they need to, but that's just the easier way for me to make sure it's a little bit more on point.
Yeah, and we actually walked through that process, showing you exactly how to do that in our training and in the partnership program. So those are great references to go into, and she just walks you through exactly what she does.
I'll add on to that a little bit. For those who've been in the business a long time, whether you're probably like your other business, if you're in a lawn business and you've been doing it long enough, you could pull up to a house and basically guesstimate what the lawn square footage is, plus or minus 10%. I can look at a house at this point and do that. That training 17 years ago, they taught me to measure in 10-foot increments. If you get good at realizing what 10 foot is, you can literally look at a roof line and count and get within that 10% pretty easily. It's like with trees. There's people who say they can get really close on trees by measuring diameters and different stuff. But for us, all of our trees, the oak are so much different in the base than the limbs, and it's a pretty calculated. I can just look at a tree and kind of tell you. Ashley can teach us how to do it by feet. She's got a pretty good process, it's pretty close. So some of the stuff's never going to be exact. But what I want to caution people on, and I hear this all the time, is they're so caught up in measuring what the product is. And if you price your roof lines at $5 versus $8, and you're exact on your measurements, and the market price is $7, your difference in your revenue is so far greater than that 10% off on your measurements. Measurements are important. Pricing is super important. So really understanding and getting to know your market, what your market prices are, and there's all kind of ways to do that. You can get competitors' brochures or their website, or find ways to find out what their marketing prices are. Talk to your customers when you're doing bids. If you don't get it, ask them politely, hey, I'm trying to grow my business. I'm curious as to what the other company's prices are. Customers will help you with that. Zero in on what the prices are that you need to be in your market. And then that's going to be a much bigger impact to your revenue and your bottom line than the measurements. I'm not saying that measurements aren't important. Of course, you've got to get them right to send the right product out and all that. But that revenue and pricing piece is more important, in my opinion.
Next question, Seth asked, what are some automation you used as far as direct mail and email automation? Any service providers that you would recommend or have worked with or worked for us? So for direct mail, we go through a process called Everydoor Direct. And that is, you can pretty much choose specific areas, neighborhoods. You can get kind of homed in on a neighborhood or a general area where development's going on, whatever you wanted to target, and you can set up a direct mail campaign. And either typically you probably want to hit that neighborhood multiple times. You can also work with a direct mail provider. They will kind of walk you through that process. So in our training, we kind of show you where to go. We'll give you the links to where to go to set that up yourself. But you could also work with a direct mailer, and they'll help you find that neighborhood, target where you want to. They'll set up a campaign for you, and then you can just kind of go on about your business. And then as far as email automation, There's a couple different things. It depends on, for us, we have our marketing side of things, and then we have our sales side of things. And typically, once somebody engages with us, they go into our customer relationship management software, which is Field Routes now. And Ashley can tell you more about that one. As far as our email marketing that we do, we use a program called Constant Contact, but there are tons of them out there for email marketing. There's MailChimp. There's a lot of them that you can work with. They're all pretty comparable. So just kind of whatever works with your budget or whatever you come across first usually works. So
Do you want me
hopefully,
to go ahead and jump in and answer the one for customers? I'll go ahead. It's fine. So for the customer communication, we do it through Field Routes. That is our CRM. There's a ton of different CRMs out there. I know Jobber's a really popular one. We've used Field Routes for, I don't know, maybe 7, 8, 9
10.
years or so. And it works for our size. If you're a little bit smaller, it may not be the best fit right now. On average, I think it costs anywhere from about 100 to 150 a month. I'm sure it can be a little bit higher if you add on some extra things. Just know that it is primarily started out as a pest control service software. So for those that have pest control as your main business, this may be a great fit for you, right? It's got everything that you need for your pest control business, but it still works for lawn care, still works for Christmas lights. And they have what they call trigger rules. So it can say, X number of days before the invoice is sent out, this is what letter is sent out. That way I'm not having to go to each one of those 400 customers and send an invoice or send a letter to them directly. It does a lot of that for us, as well as the scheduling. I mean, to go and schedule 400 to 800 different appointments, I would never have time to get anything else done. So find a software provider that works for you and that works for your business, not just today, but long-term.
very good. Next question. What would be an average first-time installer budget to get started? Doing my best to prepare myself, but don't want to overstock.
I'm not sure if they're talking about the how much product to buy or what the average customer sale is. Does it say there? Or maybe they can
It
clarify.
doesn't, but you can probably cover both briefly.
So we have a formula. It's hard. First thing, if you're going to order product for the season, the first thing you have to know is what your revenue is going to be, right? Because we've got a formula depending on what type of installs you're doing. If they're heavy on garland or wreaths, or they're just mostly lights, what percentage of your revenue you're going to need to have. One of the things we do with our partnerships is we offer to do a review of your profit and loss statement. If you have a QuickBooks and you've got that, we've got, again, 17 years of experience. So I can tell you my labor rate's 12%. My long-term product rate's 10 to 12%. My year one product rates are in that 25 to 35% range, depending again on what your product mix is. So if you're trying to figure out how much product you want to buy for the season or how much you're expected to have, you need to know how much revenue you're going to have. So if you have $100,000 of goal of new customers, so if you already have customers, it's fine. You should be, if you're in the all-inclusive model that we teach, you're not going to need new product for any of your old customers until you're 4 or 5 years in. If it's new customers, whether you're brand new or a current installer, we recommend anywhere from 25 to 35% of revenue that you'll need for that new customer. So if you do a customer that's $1,000, you're going to need roughly $250 worth of product. If your goal is to do $500,000, $50,000 of new customers, you're going to need $10,000 to $15,000 in new product for that. So really making sure you have solid revenue growth goals that you expect to meet, and then buying from there.
And Jose, one of the things that a lot of guys do when they're just starting out is they'll on our site, we actually have installation kits that are for 1 home, 5 homes, and 10 homes. So a lot of them, the times when they're starting out, they'll start with those kits. And then as they start to generate some revenue, they'll upgrade that kit to the 5 home and the 10 home. And then at that point, you have a better projection of what you're going to do. And then we can do kind of a custom order based off of that, what Scott's talking about. So that's something to definitely check out.
And when I say you've got $50,000 revenue goal and you need $10,000 of the product, doesn't mean you need to go buy it all on day one. You can buy 1,000 spool reels of sockets, C9 light sockets, or 500, or you can buy it by 250. So depending on your budget and your cash situation, that's up to you. The bigger bulk you buy, most distributors, including us, give you discounts. So the bigger you get, the lower your pricing for your products become and the more money you make. So it's the snowball effect.
Chris asked, what is the industry standard for estimate conversion to job? They closed about 33% last year, roughly. Is that a standard? Goes toward not lowering your pricing to get the job. So
I'm gonna speak to that, and Ashley can jump in. She does the last few years has done all of our bid stuff, but it's a pretty broad range depending on obviously your market. If you're in Dallas, there's a ton of competition. It's likely they're going to get more than one bid. If you're in a smaller market, you may be the only bid and your percentage goes up, right? It also depends on, we're a full service, high-end company. So when someone calls into our office for Christmas lights, and this is for the new folks especially, but folks that maybe are in the industry and don't do this yet, one of the most important things you can do because of the short season is have a minimum price for your business. So if someone calls in, we don't immediately say our minimum is 1,500, but it's not very long, like, hello, this is Certified Lights, just to let you know, our minimum is $1,500. Does that fit your budget? So that very quickly gets you off the phone or knowing that you got a customer so we're pre-qualifying. So that's another thing that'll change that percentage. If you're not pre-qualifying, you're going to have a much lower percentage. If you're pre-qualifying, you're going to have a much higher percentage. If you're all inclusive and your minimum is $1,500, you're going to have a lower percentage than if you're 500 or 750 or 900, something like that. So a lot of variables in there, but to me, a good estimate is I think we close 30 to 40%, and we feel pretty good about that. So I would say 33% is really good. Ashley, you can add on to that.
No, I think you hit everything on the head. I want to go off of last year's numbers. That was kind of a little crazy. So, but I can get that information and provide it to everybody here in August when you join me for my sales webinar.
Nice.
very good.
Nice hook.
Okay, next question. It's a few questions packed into one, so I'm just going to read the whole thing, and then you can have at it. So Zach asked, he's starting out. He's a solo lawn operator, lawn and landscape. He's looking at getting into the Christmas light business. Doesn't have a lot of money to pre-buy a lot of lights. So how would you recommend getting started? What's your opinion on customer provided lights for starting out? And then do you recommend sticking to a couple designs, or is each customer design different? For example, do we have specific set designs available to customers, or let them decide on what they want as far as colors and design?
What was the
I can
name?
do this one.
This is Zach.
Zach, I'd like to do part of this. It's
Fine.
this is probably in all of our wheelhouse. We're very passionate about this, so that's why Ashley both want to do it. Awesome questions, Zach. For newbies, those are perfect questions. I'll start off with just this part, Ashley, and you can jump in. But there's really, like any business, there's 100 different ways to do the business and have 100 different business models. From I just put up your lights and I never see you again, to our model, which is we design, install, maintain, take down, store, inspect everything like it's brand new before we reinstall it the next season. All you do is write a check or give us a credit card, and that's all you have to worry about. So as a new person, you got to decide which model you're going to follow. Within that, there's two major subcategories in the industry that I see all the time. One is I sell the product to the customer. I'll make three of those. The first one being I use the customer's lights. So I'll get this out of the way quickly. We did that a few times. I'd never do it again. There's so many problems with that. You want control of the product. You don't have to fight about who's replacing and all that stuff. If they're wanting to put up their lights, it's almost never a really good customer. But starting out, sometimes you have to do that. So I'm going to never say never. I'll leave that open for you to decide. Then after that, there's two pieces. You sell the lights to the customer and then you charge for labor after that. What I see mostly with that is year one is $2,000 and year two and ongoing is $1,000. They discount 50% off of their initial job. And our program will teach you, and our product costs are anywhere from 10 to 15% ongoing. Ours is closer to 10%. So why would you discount 50% when it only costs you 10 to 15% products each year? You're leaving a ton of money on the table. Not a fan of that. I know some people have reduced that down to 30%, I've heard, and I'm sure it's continuously changing and updating, and maybe folks have gotten it down to 15 or 20% discount. And if that works, awesome. But even at 30% and your product cost are 12%, why would you leave that on the table? As you know, if you already have a different business, which I'm assuming most of the people on here, even the non-Christmas service companies right now, the customer follows your lead. They're calling you as the expert. You dictate what you're presenting to them, what you're offering, and convince them and guide them into what's the best service in the world from your company. And so we just have the all-inclusive model. We're not the most expensive. We're definitely near the top, or at least the top 25%. And that's our model. That's how we work. You can decide within yours and your market and your, what your framework and what your target customers, what you want to do. But in general, that's kind of the different models that are out there. Ashley, it's all yours.
All right, excellent. So the last question is the designs. So I don't know the exact percentage, but it's pretty high. It's probably about 95%, at least in our market, want warm white, right? I don't generally ask the customer, hey, what color do you want, right? I've done that. I did that once like earlier this year, and now I have to do an install with like teal bulbs, and that's not a really common color that we carry. So I'll have teal bulbs, right? Generally what I'll do is I will do the whole design, and we'll go over this more in detail in August. But I just send it to them with warm white. I let them tell me if they wanted a different color, right? And I put that in the communication. I've got a template that I send them, say, hey, here are all the reasons why you should hire me over the competitor. And here's your proposal. Everything's outlined in there in warm white. The digital design is also in warm white. And then I say, hey, this is in warm white. If you had a different color in mind, please let me know. Most times they don't say anything. Warm white's classic, it's traditional. That's what a lot of people are going for. Now, if you live in a different market that wants multicolor, if that's what your market's calling for, then do that, right? But the safe bet is usually warm white.
And that goes along with what I just said earlier. You can guide that conversation. So we never in our script, and again, if you're just starting out, or if you've been doing this and you don't have a really good sales script, it's key to the sales process. Again, Ashley will show us and go over the entire sales script in the August webinar. But again, at the top is qualifying that customer so that you don't spend 20 or 30 minutes on a customer that likes to talk in the crazy busy season and you don't waste their time. But also in that is just dictating the design. So we design very classic. We use a lot of Reese and Garland. They're more expensive year one, but they're super profitable after year one going forward. It doesn't take very long to hang a wreath on a wall or up at a peak. But we don't ask them, what would you like to have on your design? Because you'll get a 20-minute conversation of the craziest stuff. Not always, obviously, but it'll take you in directions you don't want to go. And to be efficient in a business, it's all about your employees being very good at what they do. And so we have a pretty, we can make a house look 100 different ways by moving the same products we have, but it's basically just changing it up a little bit, maybe changing colors if they want something different, but it's very standard. C9 roof lines, stake lights, outlining windows, door frames, Reese Garland. We try to avoid trees. They're the least profitable. At least we've never been able to make them as profitable as the other pieces. If they want a tree, obviously we're going to do it, but we kind of dictate, look at a house. everything we do is digital picture. Again, Ashley will go over this. So we send a line item proposal with a digital picture, and they can pick and choose. So we give them freedom, but it's within our framework that makes it very efficient for us to allow us to get to our profit margin that we want.
Okay, next question. Jacob asks, I have a local Chick-fil-A that has put up lights the last couple of years. How could I go about trying to steal them?
My first question would be, have you seen any issues or problems with the lights? I would definitely be on the lookout, take digital pictures when there's outs, even a bulb out or any kind of issues, and then go speak to the manager and let them know that we never have these issues. I mean, this is salesman 101, right? The other is just to go ask it, say, hey, I know you've got a current provider, but I'd love to give you a competitive bid just so you know if you're getting a good price. That doesn't mean go be the low ball provider, because you don't want to do that. But there are times when you want to be really aggressive to get that key customer like that. And you may reduce your profit from 30 to 10 or whatever it may be in your market, or for you personally, gives you an opportunity to pick that up. With my 2 pieces of advice.
Wear your Get Lit shirt and then go sit there and eat lunch there 3 days a week. And I'm sure that might get you in the door a little bit faster.
I know a lot of Chick-fil-A's that they'll decorate them themselves. So the one in our area, the owners decorate it, but the surrounding Chick-fil-A's, they'll contract an installer. So might just be something to go in there and ask them and figure that out first. So
Yeah, for sure. That if you don't see any issues during the season, certainly go in and just ask. That's the biggest thing in sales, right? You just got to ask for the opportunity.
Yeah.
And then sharpen your pencil and get after it.
Next question, Seth asks, what are some performance bonuses you implement to keep morale high with employees? And what are the benchmark / structure for employees to know why they are doing their job?
Ashley can jump in here too, because she's probably more expert on the details of this. But our biggest metric and bonus is just the production pay itself. And they're super aware of it. So every day we give them their work paperwork, and it has, you're going to make $250 today each. You're going to each make $350 or $225 or $275, whatever that day's work is. They know if they finish it, they get paid that. So we also try to not stretch that. We try to be very realistic. And if you're good at data collection and analysis over time, and that's kind of having a system that that'll help you, like our field routes that can collect the data and do the reports. We know over the last 5 years how long this house took to do, right? Or this business. So we're going to put that, it automatically calculates that in our scheduling system and puts it out on the right days, in the right locations, the right customers. We put limits on how much revenue we expect them to make. And it puts all that into it. So when we give them the paperwork, it's a realistic route that they should be able to go do if they're middle of the road workers. If they finish early, they've got an incentive to call us. If they're done at 3, 2:30, even 4 sometimes if they're far out, and say, hey, is there a roof line I can go do? And we can give them a roof line or a tree or something on the way back, and they can make an extra $50 each on their way back in and still stay within their 10 hours of daily work. Beyond that, we do a lot of just on the spot stuff. So like I said, I always just go to the bank and get a bunch of 20s and 10s and I'll hand those out. We do compliments in our morning meetings of guys that are working out. We do a lot of thank yous. We buy lunches. Those are the things I know of. We do spin the wheel. We have like $100 bill on there. We have a $20 bill. We have a $1 bill. We have coupons. We have a high five. If you spend, you land on the high five. Ashley will give the person a high five. We try to make it fun. I mean, work is work. So just trying to do different stuff to keep the employees' morale up during this long, hard season. Ashley, you got some stuff to add to that?
Yeah, we do. We do offer some weekly bonuses as well for our guys. For the roofers that are up high in the trees or high on the roofs, we want to make sure they're compensated for those skills, because obviously they should be paid a little bit more than the person that's doing ground stakes or bushes or something along those lines. So we try to be mindful of that. But really, it's being aware of who you have, right? The talents of your individual employees. Not every employee is built the same. Not every one of them have the same skills. So play on that. If you've got a C team or a B team, don't schedule them like an A team, because they're never going to succeed. Us as managers, we have to make sure that we set them up in the most optimal position possible for them to make money, because as they make money, we make money, right? So I think being aware of that helps increase payroll, which is always going to be the biggest motivator. It's always going to be money. We can do anything else, but it's all about the dollar. So we do weekly bonuses. We'll do an end of season bonus just to say thank you. And I think that helps drives our retention rates as well.
And I'll add to that Ashley said before, is like when we do a signing bonus of $500, we'll split it up $500 at the end of $250 at the end of November and $250 at the end of takedown. That really helps guarantee that person's going to be there the whole time. Last year, maybe the last couple of years, is the first time in 17 years that we had folks that made it through the first few weeks or first month and quit like before Thanksgiving or during Thanksgiving, because they're making so much money. Normally, if they've worked out for us and we've worked out for them, they're not leaving. It's just a lot of money. 60 hours a week at $25 an hour is great cash for a lot of folks, especially seasonal workers. So last year, I'm almost embarrassed to say this and I hate it, but the employees are really in control. We were having them quit like the week before and the week of Thanksgiving. And anybody who's done, the folks that are in the Christmas lights, that is your peak of the peak of the peak. It's when you got to get it all done. Not only are you still finishing installs in mid-November, but you're about to start turning them all on. So you've got that combination of the perfect storm during that week of Thanksgiving and the week after Thanksgiving. So I literally got to the point, I think it was the weekend after Thanksgiving, that I told my employees, if you show up on time, I'm giving you a $50 bill. And I literally handed out thousands of dollars for a week, just to ensure we could get through the week and no one was calling out sick or quitting. Sometimes you have to go to extremes. And that's where Ashley and I sat down and said, let's just overhire and then we'll have to be back in control. If someone is threatening us or not showing up, or whatever, we just let them go because we've got enough employees. It's just basically spending that money up front so that it solves more problems down the road. They don't feel like they're in control mid-season. So it really, I feel like I could increase my business by 50% next year from $1.5 million to $2.5 million if I had enough employees. The leads are out there, the business is out there. If you market right and you price right and you really work the systems and the processes, that's not the problem. It's getting those employees, and so figuring out ways to do that, as we talked about before.
Very good. Next question, Dave asks, are your quotes actually fixed price quote? So if you're over or under, doesn't really matter, or are the quotes more of an estimate that adjusts based on the actual feet of roof line lights and mini lights installed, meaning is the quote adjusted based on the actual amount installed?
I'll answer this one. So all of our quotes on our proposals are accurate values, right? So if I tell the customer, hey, it's going to be $750 for this roof line, it's going to be $750. The only one that I have kind of like an adjustment, just some wording in there, that way if I need to increase it, I can, are the trees. And that is because they can take so many more lights than what I can see from Google Maps, and it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. At the end of the day, we invoice it based off or we charge based off of linear foot or number of bulbs. So it's making sure we stick to those numbers. It's very, very rare that I'm off on our roof lines, stake lights, or any of our outlines. But it's the mini lights. Those can be a little bit more challenging. So make sure you've got some wiggle room. And if you're quoting 2,000 mini lights, don't go over, right? Because the customer's not paying you for that. If the customer wants more, they'll tell you they want more, and then you can charge them for more. So that's how I'd answer that one.
I'll
hope
add to
answers the
that,
question.
that even after 15 or 14 years, we used to just kind of eat the cost ourselves. If I bid a tree for 3,000 bulbs and it took 3,300 or maybe even 3,500, I told my guys, you got to make it look good, just do it. We'll look at the price next year, increase if we need to. I don't think that's necessarily a bad plan, but over time it can really bite you in the rear end. So after all those years, Ashley came in, and when she took over the bidding, she changed that to say, this is approximately up to this many feet. That's what we used to go off of. And if it took more lights to get to that footage, we would add them. Sometimes in general, we also had ones where I bid 3,000, only took 2,500. So I don't think we lost out a lot, but what we do now is we go off the number of bulbs. So we say, and this is a great change by Ashley, is it's approximately 20 feet, and we're going to do 2,000 mini lights up to a certain point. And so we're not guaranteeing 20 feet, we're guaranteeing 2,000 mini lights. So we get done, as Ashley said, if they don't think it looks high enough, we just tell them, okay, well, to get to that 20 feet, it's going to be another 500 lights. And so by going off those lights, it really makes sure that you're not installing more lights than what they're paying for. The same for in the long term with both of those, you have to be cautious. And we only have a one-page agreement. It's very simple. You'll see it in May. Certainly if you're become a partner in August, sorry, you'll see it in August. Sorry, if you become a partner, you'll see it. We have about 8 or 10 terms and conditions. And one of those talks about, trees and bushes grow. So at some point we may have to add lights and increase your pricing for those, because it's crazy. Like I look back at some customers 10 years ago, and I'm like, the revenue per hour is not right on this customer. Like, why is it so low? We'll go look, and the tree's like 3 times taller and the bushes are 3 times bigger. And we're out there just putting lights on. It's like, no, you can't do that. So.
Very good. Next question, Jason asked, what program are you using for your digital design proposal?
We use Holiday Home Concepts. They're relatively new to the market. There was an older program that we used to use, but they don't support it anymore. I do see another question, is that the only software of its kind? I'm sure there's others out there. I'm not sure if maybe Holiday Home Concepts is just, in the front and center right now. They work really well. It is a monthly subscription, but that's what we use, and I haven't had any complaints. And I will say the owner is very receptive to feedback, which I think is important.
Yeah.
And I'll add on to that we've tossed around and talked about, even got quotes for doing our own software, because there's some specific things that it doesn't do that we like. The last one did more, in my opinion, and looked better. But the program itself just had more and more glitches every year, and they weren't supporting it. Disappointed they're not doing that anymore. But in August, we'll show you examples of what the software, what you can make it look like, versus here's a picture of the house, here's a picture of the house with the decorations, and here's the picture of the house with all the lights installed. And it looks really close and similar. It gives the customers a great idea of what it's going to look like. And I can't tell you how many bids we've sold, especially on the commercial side, when you get the commercial, because they could see what it looked like on the building or on the monument or on the strip center or whatever it may be. But residential too, that they can visualize and see what those lights are going to look like on their house, is huge for the customer.
Very good. Next question. Do any of your customers ask you to decorate indoors? If so, what do you do?
Ashley, I'll let you tee that up.
Okay. Most customers that ask for interior are usually commercial. Think office buildings, strip centers, hospitals. I've only had one residential ask me to do that, and they just wanted a Christmas tree, which it's for this year, so we'll see where that goes. But generally speaking, it's just regular interior. You're going to get a lot of daytime decor from the interior. So think Christmas trees, 3D displays like gift boxes, snowflakes, ornaments, those kind of things.
Garland and wreaths.
Yeah. lot of garland and wreaths as well, because obviously most people are going to be there. They're going to be there during the day. There we go. So you want to have that pop.
I would add that we don't do a lot of it and have never, it's a different business. I mean, it's very similar, right? It's Christmas, it's installation, you're knowledgeable about it, but the interior takes a very specific skill set that the exterior doesn't necessarily take. You got to have some folks that are really good at design and installation and inside a home. And for me, the biggest reason we didn't get into it is you're inside people's homes. It's one thing to send employees out to a home and they're decorating the exterior. You put them on the inside and it's a whole different level of liability and quality of employee and some of those things. So to me, you have to set up a separate division, your company, with the right people to be able to do that service. We have, to Ashley's point, before she came on board, we did some specific customers that really want us to do it. They loved our employees and trusted them and have been with us on the outside. So we would hang some garland on some railing and their stairs and put up a Christmas tree and decorate and that kind of stuff. But it, you know, we had one of them in particular, I remember was very particular. We just spent a ton of time trying to meet her desired specific, perfect interior designs. It was like, this is a nightmare. So it's a different business. Just keep that in mind.
Dave asked, what if a customer doesn't want garland or wreaths? Do you get some input from the customer?
So again, we can, go ahead, Ashley.
No, go ahead. All you.
I was just going to say, again, back to we in our market, in our business, we kind of steer those conversations. We don't ask anyone what they want. Our script says we're going to take a digital picture of your home. We're going to decorate it, the digital pictures, exactly what all the decorations look like. And we're going to provide a line item proposal so you can pick and choose what you like from that design. 99 out of 100 say great. Every once in a while they'll say, all right, I have a design I want, or I can send you last year's design that we did. We want exactly the same. So nothing's ever 100%, and 99 is probably a stretch. Maybe it's 95, but most of the time we're able to dictate that. And we always put wreaths and garland in because they're the highest net margin product over the long term. They'll last, you know, up to 7 years, certainly 5 years. And once you buy that wreath, hanging it up literally takes 15 minutes. Those are the customers that we have $300 and $400 per hour revenue on. The more wreaths and garland we have, the higher their revenue per hour is. That's how I know it's the highest net margin product, because I can go see and I can calculate. Like, we have jobs that are almost all wreaths and garland. Man, it's off the chart revenue per hour. And if they specifically tell us they don't want that, we won't put it on there. But again, we don't normally let them tell us that. We just put it on there. And most customers, once they see it on their house, are like, oh, that looks great. Yeah, I want all that. Or they'll pick the line items to get to their budget that they want to get to. If it's a $3,000 bid and they say I have a $2,500, they go find $500 worth of product because it's line itemized and take that out and meet their budget. So that's our approach. If you've got a different approach, you know, you'll have to figure out how. Maybe it's, hey, we have I don't want wreaths and garland. We have a lot of customers that are really loving them. You know, if you don't mind, I'll put it in your proposal or whatever that may be. But for us, we just automatically put it in almost every proposal we have. We're doing less garland because it's less profitable. We're continuously improving. As Ashley changed our process, every year we have a list of learnings, and we prioritize those and build it every year and slowly get some completed and add to it. And one of the things we realize is, you know, it's not wreaths and garland are profitable. They're both more profitable than lights, but wreaths by far are the most profitable. So now, if we can, we just use wreaths and less garland. But there's situations where there's an arch and it's going to look awesome there. We also always take in consideration the overall look for the customer. So we're not going to not put garland if there's a place on that house that we think it's going to really make it look awesome. We're going to put that on there and do it.
Very good. Chuck, next question. Chuck asks, are there installation videos available to watch? So we do have some in our partner program as well as in our trainings. And we are working to make more in-depth videos as well. But if you haven't been to one of our formal trainings, I highly recommend doing that. Our next big training is going to be in September in Dallas, Texas. So we cover everything. We actually go out and install lights on the house. So you're going to get hands-on experience. You're going to learn a lot of tricks from our team. So if you haven't gone through training, that would be a good one to put on your schedule right before the season starts.
Ashley, is that the 9th and 10th?
Pretty sure it's the 14th and 15th. I'm pulling it up.
14th and 15th. So it's a Thursday and
We've
Friday.
got webinars and trade shows and training. So I've got all kind of dates in my head. But the goal there is it's a great opportunity if you're one of the 36%, I think it was, folks on this webinar that that haven't started Christmas lights. It's not too late. It's good timing, especially if you want to do 10 or 15 or 40 or 50 houses. Start off kind of slow and just get your feet wet and figure out, is this the business that I want to do? Is this, you might find, wow, I did 50 houses and $75,000 and I made $25,000 for Christmas, or 15 or 20. This is great. I'm looking to double this next year. Or you may do 10 or 15 houses and go, man, I hate this. I'm busy during the holiday season. I don't want to be doing that, but it's a good way to take the training. It's not very expensive. We have a half off right now, and then get that first season as a test season, this 2023 season coming up.
And that pricing does include 2 attendees, so you and one other person.
And that what Andrew says, one day is all the classroom, which is how to set up your business, how to market it, how to do the sales, how to set up trailers or trucks. It's everything you need to know from an operations standpoint to get it set up, office, sales, marketing. And then the second day is literally A to Z. We go to a house, electrical to all the way to the end of, it's all decorated. You see how it looks, and then to takedown, so you know how to do the takedown. So it gives you a really good basis for your season.
And I did include the link in the chat. If you want to go take a look at it, it is there for you.
Very good. All right, last question. Brett asks, how do we get access to your systems, designs, and order guides? So that one, Brett, is through, the easiest way is going to be through our partnership program. Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Ashley?
Yeah, and Ashley, you could post our partnership program link on there too. We have on our website, we basically have a Christmas light products tab, a landscape lighting products tab, training tab, and then a partnership tab. And the partnership tab will tell you all about how to apply for the partnership, what our partnership provides. And the only thing that you have to pay for in our partnership is that you really don't pay for anything right now. At some point, we're going to have a monthly fee as we build out our services, just to help pay for the support, something very low. But right now, there's no monthly fee. It's just that you sign a partnership agreement to buy your product from us. That's the only way we make money on all this and helping support people. I'm at a point in my career that I get excited seeing folks in the same situation I was, where they have this service business, but they're struggling in the off season, and we can help them figure out a way to not only keep their employees, so you're not laying them off, but also make extra money during that season and pour that back in your main business to help it thrive and grow, which is what I did with my pest control business before I sold it.
Very good. We did have one more question pop up, but real quick, and that link is now in the chat, so you can check it out there, the partnership program. The last question, do you have residential job minimum requirements, and what were your best marketing results?
Yes, so our minimum is $1,500. That's what works in our market. May not be what works for you and yours, right? It may be $750, $500. So see what you can get in your market. Best marketing results last year, they saw our truck. We love those kind of leads, because why? They're free, right? We've had the same trucks, those same logos been plastered on there for the last 17 years, and it's still our #1 lead source year over year. So marketing doesn't have to be expensive, right? Get your truck out there. It doesn't have, and when it comes to vehicle reps, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars for it to work. right? Ours has our logo, our email address, and our phone number, and that's it. You can go as big or as small as you want, as long as it tells them exactly what you do, who you are, and how to contact you.
And when they see, like, we have these vests that are like striped with fluorescent on there, because when it gets, you know, in that time of the year by 5, it could be dark. So they're working around streets, but also it has our logo on the back. It has pockets. It's red. It looks professional. They can put it over any of their clothing. Those things, when they're out in the field and they're installing, are super important. Have your truck and your equipment logoed, and your folks in some type of uniform. That looks very professional. If customers driving by and sees someone getting their neighbor installed, they like that look. They trust that company. They feel like you're a real company. You're not a guy in a yard or pest control or window cleaning company with those logos on there and no one in uniform. They just think, oh, that's, you know, a guy in a truck putting up lights. I don't want that guy. So if you want to be professional, if you want to be perceived professional, be professional, right? I would add one other thing to our marketing. Since we started this distribution and training company, we have put almost $0 into our Christmas light installation business, and we continue to grow at a 20% clip, around $200,000 a year with no marketing. So to Ashley's point, I would say referrals are a close second to that truck and logo. It's a snowball effect. And as you get good and you show you're professional and you get customers happy, you'll grow and you don't have to spend a lot on marketing. So that's part of what we show we do a pro forma with our partners and do a 5-year, help you see where you can go with that. And your product costs start going down very quickly and your marketing costs go down. And all that does is just get you from a 12 or 15% net margin to a 30 to 40% net margin as those go opposite directions. So I think that's time, 1:30, we can call it. I really appreciate everybody showing up today. Hopefully you got some good information from this. We'll be a lot more in depth in the July and August meetings on the marketing and sales. If you have any questions, Ashley or I are both available. Ashley, if you want to put our emails in there for anyone, if you have questions about the partnership or training or any of that, would love to talk to you about that. Get excited when people join our industry, because it's a great industry. It's not easy, but no service business is. So one of the more lucrative, growing industries out there. Thanks, everyone. Hope to see you in July.
Thank you, everybody.
Y'all have a good one.